Attendance done?
I'm just waiting like the professors. Just put on a job. Attendance market.
No, you have to start before we leave.
Because I look not to keep my proxy Makmana because he's the only master with a long hair.
He no longer has long hair.
He no longer has long hair.
He has no hair now.
Hi everyone. Come on in,
क्लास में लेट आ रहे हो?
Hi everyone. Most of you probably remember me as Vera Kripalani, one of the 3 girls from electrical. It is hard for me to wrap my mind around the idea that we are in the 7th decade of our life. And the last time I saw the majority of you was when we were all 21-year-old skinny know-it-alls. Some days I still feel 16 years old in my heart, but on other days my bones and muscles make me feel all of my 60+ years. I don't know if it's the same with you, but there are many days when I still feel young and I say, what happened? We have all traveled different roads, logging very different experiences, but we are here today, bound by a common bond of being an IITian. It gives me great joy to be amongst my batchmates and their spouses, and I know we will all treasure these few days we spent together in each other's company. I want to thank Suri, where is it? Sandeep Bhatia, the 2 Kamals, and RK for arranging this get-together. A lot of thought and hard work has gone into the planning of this event. Thank you guys for this labor of love on your part. In this speaker session, it is my pleasure to welcome 3 of our batchmates who will speak on subjects that are close to their hearts. Our first speaker is Rakesh Makhija, who is currently President, Industrial Markets, Strategic Industries in the SKF Group, and is a member of the SKF Group Management and the Executive Committee. That's a long one, Rakesh. He has served in several leadership positions, including CEO and MD of Tata Honeywell. He has been recognized through numerous industry awards for market leadership, amongst them the prestigious CNBC Business Leader Award for Talent Management and Stewart Alumni. Rakesh is married with 2 children, and he graduated as a chemical engineer from batch. Rakesh is going to talk to you about his corporate experiences and also what he thinks are the challenges facing India in order to get back on the path of growth and getting more investment in this country. So here's Rakesh.
I've always got tongue-tied when I came into this room. The sudden change after 40 years. The speech that I prepared in my head has more or less disappeared. But I think when Siri said we need to speak, my first impulse was say no. But then I said, and Siri said to me later on that I'm the 18th guys asked before anyone said yes. That's what I mean, there's sort of nostalgia in this place. Like, it seems like we never left. Obviously, when you look at each other in the mirror, we did leave. And we've been gone for a long time. But, I mean, I always sort of think of that I think we made it finally, because when we were IIT, I thought we were doing everything that was, anything that was desirable, forbidden, or illegal. We experimented with everything, and we survived. I don't know how many of our batchmates who are not here survived, but the 60 of us who are here possibly made it. Not equivalent before. And of course, all the memories come like motorcycle days, speeding out in the night without any mufflers. When I look at it now, it's totally obnoxious. Motorcycle without the muffler. But those days it seemed like a big deal. And we go racing out in the night and scraping the road with the steel and seeing the sparks fly off. There's been times when 3 of us would go to a gas station day and night before the gas station would close, with 10 rupees in our pocket. And what was the price of it? Was it 4 rupees something? How much? No. 4 rupees. My recollection is we pulled out 10 rupees and we said fill up the 3 bikes. Was it 10? Or was it 5 rupees? Whatever. But it was, it tells you how much money was, how much was valued, and then how many 5 or 10 rupees went in those days. And of course, I can carry on and on with all the stuff that we did. And of course, at the same time, when I passed up, I thought actually I learned nothing in IT. And my first job was an engineering job, which I went to work for a consulting company. And all my friends, some of them who are here in the school, were totally surprised that I went into an engineering career. I also realized at that time that I knew much more than I thought I did in engineering. And I became a reasonably good engineer. Reasonably. And my career were in 2 halves. The first half of my career was pure engineering, very much into the oil and gas business, very much into process automation related areas. And the second half is all this sort of, what we call the relationship management sort of stuff. Very much translating it from sales marketing into the management of career. And it's been a nice run so far. I spent a number of years with the Tatas, with the joint venture Tata, and that was to me one of the most inspiring companies, the group that I work for. I think Tata are fantastic, fantastic. But that's my opinion. There are a lot of people, including my son, who went to work for Tata Motors when he was like 24, 25. And he told me the average age in Tata Motors is 51. It's so boring. But I think Ratan Tata gets a lot of credit for what he did, what he's done with the Tata Group. And I felt completely, I embraced everything that they wanted to be in terms of their corporate values, in terms of the social responsibility, in terms of their focus on basically doing business the right way. And I thought that was tremendous. I tell you a small story, and because you have to tell me when I start running out of time.
Almost out of time.
I am? Okay, then I'll move from this story until you later on. But I've been sort of in SKF for the last 12 years now. And I've been to India and then China and then Sweden up the last 16, 17 months. Part of my learning about Tata was very much that try and sort of build something which helps the community around me. I would go into our factory, I lived in Bombay, the 7 years I was here, and I'd see so many kids. Our factory was a place called Chinchwad. I'd see so many kids playing cricket on the road with bricks and with a wooden bat or something in a plastic ball. And we had 100 acres of land there. And I said, why can't I just use the 100 acres of land? We had taken to the field with some expats that were buying and made into a golf cutting course and stuff like that, which I converted. And we got 150 kids to come in. Football, hockey and cricket. And I saw Chuck there, then I put the hockey part for girls also in. And I think it was fantastic. And all the parents told me later on that since our child plays sport, competitive sport, the academic record carries much, much more. And that I thought was a nice thing, like in terms of it helps child as a child energy. And we have many things, other things that we built, essentially train the people around, and very much business-centric in the sense that I never thought that you should do anything which does not support your business. That's my philosophy. So we run an automotive aftermarket business. And of course, we believe the mechanics are the best source of our ambassadorship. If they say that they like our product, they like what we do, they will actually go and buy our product and put it into the cars and trucks, etc. So we started training up roadside mechanics with a very professional sort of program. And today we have about 3,000 mechanics being trained by us in India. And it works well. And of course, the brand ambassadors that these people give you right on the road, the truck stops, it's not like the most expensive product. But they still go and put our product into a truck, say that this one's going to work for the rest of your life. Or more than that has happened. I've been in Sweden now for 16 months. And the Sweden is different. You know, it's like hugely skilled, very complacent. They don't believe that they need anything beyond their, the immediate sort of circle of friends and their bar across the road, and because of the social security system, everything takes care of them. So the ambition level is extremely low, but the skill level is extremely high. The productivity is very high. And when you go into stuff like what Mr. Modi is talking about, Make in India, and I am to speak, in fact, in Gothenburg 3 weeks from now on the same topic, because there are Swedish corporates coming in there. I mean, one of the challenges we have is that we are seen as a very, very important market, a very difficult market. Difficult market because when you set up a new project, it never goes the way it's supposed to go. Land acquisition, delays, and all sorts of different things, corruption charges, and then in terms of productivity, it is extremely low. And if India is going to actually move into the next phase, as I think it will very soon, and that's a promise that we have from every new government that comes, but I think this time might really happen. I think the most important part of our focus needs to be how do I get our workforce trained. My job is to bring investment in from what I do right now, representing SKF, into the country, become ambassador for India sitting outside. But from my final comments, I mean, I will step down from my corporate career the next year or so. And what is it I'm going to do? I think I'm going to focus on sitting on a few boards, but basically take up a couple of these things which I like to do. Some examples that I already gave. And hopefully make that work. Kick ass, get results. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gautam Suri, and he is the founder, director, and CTO of Interarch Building Products Private Limited, a 500 crore rupees company. He is an acclaimed acoustical consultant in India. An entrepreneur at heart, he joined his father's practice as a consultant after graduation. In 1983, he started his own manufacturing business with a friend. He did this without any foreign collaboration and developed all his product lines, which is indeed a unique engineering achievement. Today, Gautam is part of the Indian Angel Network and participates actively in investing and nurturing startups. Some fun facts about Gautam. He is an avid radio-controlled modeler and also plays golf and tournament bridge. During his IIT days, he was part of the rock band Hypnotic Eye, in which he sang vocals and played the guitar and drums. Gautam is married to Shobana and they have one son. One of Gautam's favorite roles today is playing grandpa in art. Welcome, Gautam. Where are you?
Thanks, Vera. Great meeting our friends after a long time. As Vera said, the IIT days were days, in the sense all we did was play music and get well. All I remember is staying up all night in the open air theatre and having a blast. So IIT was great fun. And post graduation, I never was inclined to take a job. So I did what she just announced. And what was the challenge was that I got into areas which I was not formally trained. I was an engineer from IIT. I had no thorough grounding in nor in anything else which I have done today. So one thing which I think I am proud of what I did in my personal knowledge in that place, I self-taught myself. I read, learned, practiced, and today from 2.6 to I'm become a structural engineer. I do buildings, I design buildings. So it's what is important is, and the youngsters to see there is that personal knowledge is what takes engineers forward. This is what I'm going to talk about a little bit today, is the challenge we are facing as an industry, the challenge India is facing. I run two industries specifically. We have manufacturing and we have construction. So we have one side we have the engineering skill sets, on the one side we have the trade skill sets. And India is horribly lacking in both. Statistics and facts and figures, we keep reading the papers, say only 10% of MBAs are employed. We find that more than 75% of engineers who will interview are unemployed. Because they come with a degree, but nothing else. There is no skill set, there is no communication skills, there is no knowledge, there is no logical thinking. Because of probably the handicap of the English language, they are not geared towards researching or writing or presentations. Today's Indian Express carries a very interesting article where it says half of the Maharashtra cabinet ran engineering colleges. So most of the people being churned out in given degrees are political colleges. So that's the quality of education coming out. This is not to reflect on IIT. IIT I'm sure turns out better people. But the fact of the matter is that most engineers today want to go into IT and the comfort jobs. Just pay well, pay better, which are relaxing air conditioned environment. You don't involve the hard work in manufacturing or power or infrastructure requirements. But that's where India needs the talent. That's where India is very short. So, skilling India in broad terms, which is also Prime Minister's buzzword. Young engineers and students have lost, the whole generation lost jobs. But there is no opportunity. So we are producing 1 million engineers every month. And 10 crore people could not get employment. People came, they aspired from agricultural backgrounds to come into cities. To get education, they don't get jobs, to go back to farming. This is the most frustrating thing any youngster can face. And the pride has to be brought into engineering, the trades, the skill sets, that there is no shame in doing that, because unfortunately in India we don't have recognition for trades. We don't have certification for trades. A very interesting story, which is about 15 years ago, which was to my eyes. In Australia, my sister-in-law lived there, my brother-in-law was a master merchant navy captain. It was in a very nice complex. One day we were standing on the balcony having a smoke, and the guy driving past and said, you know, that guy is a bricklayer. The bricklayer was driving a better car than my brother-in-law, living in a better apartment in that complex. This is because he gets paid by the hour. He works Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
By the brick, $1 a brick will be $2.
So he's no Australian. So because it's a licensed trade, his skill set is recognized. And he can be proud to call himself a mason or a bricklayer. In India we don't have that today. But this is a long-term change which is bound to happen. We have to see how we, as alumni, can collectively, or maybe a smaller group, devote our time and effort for working with training institutes, helping or mentoring, or nurturing people, even giving them motivation by talk and example, to show that hardcore engineering or working with your hands is not shameful. Or the entire engineering thing is not money, and it doesn't like an IT work. There's a lot the country needs, and engineering by itself per se can be very satisfying. So I've been a hardcore engineer for the last 40 odd years. I think I've been lucky, God has been with me, I've been successful. I've employed a lot of engineers today, but there's a lot of hard work. Entrepreneurship is not easy, and especially when you're in for the long run, it can get very lonely at times. Luckily, I had a very good friend who was my partner. We're still partners together for the last 33 years, which is a great story in itself. And so the journey has been easy in a way and nice, but it's tough. Entrepreneurship, people talk about this as a balloon, people anything, but believe you me, it's very tough at times. In your house on the block, you put don't have money to pay your staff the next day, and you don't know where the next money is going to come from, you can take very long time. But at the end of it, when it succeeds, it's great. So please, I would be happy to ask people, especially Rakesh has talked to them, even if we can have a small group of 10 people, we can get together. People who think, many of us are retired, many of us are maybe happy to do some kind of consulting role. There's a National Skill Development Council, the other institutes, government is giving grants, but grants in the government point of view can be waste of money. It's money to spend. But the grants will certainly make it help because some kind of subsidy will need to be given for worker to spend time, to get skilled, so that he recognizes that he will get a better wage. And for an employer to recognize that he should pay him more because he now comes with certain skills which he could not get from the original concept of labor. So that may be a hiring skill workers in India. Thank you all.
Nalin Sharda completed his PhD from IIT Delhi and has served in academia since then. As a distinguished academic, he has authored a textbook on multimedia information networking, published 120 papers and articles, and presented at numerous conferences in over 20 countries. He was designated as a distinguished lecturer of the IEEE Education Society. Presently, he is an honorary professor at the Victoria University in Melbourne, Australia. I remember Sharda, gosh, this is not working. It's working. This? Right. I remember Sharda starting out as an oilman with Schlumberger, Australia. And I guess he fell in love with that country at that time. To his fellow tutorial group members, which includes me, this true identity will always be 69 ES17. However, I would be remiss if I did not mention this newly acquired identity of a Bollywood papa. Last but not least, he is an accomplished shire, and I enjoy reading his poetry on Facebook. Sharda's better half Hema, is she here? Is also a PhD from IIT Delhi, and they have 2 children. So Sharda, he's going to speak to you about lifelong learning. Come on.
That was my boring CV. I intentionally did not give the interesting one to it. When I was growing up, I was a terrible student. I could barely pass mathematics or many other subjects. I wanted to become a mechanic, go and repair stuff. I wanted to become an actor. I wanted to go and become an aircraft engineer. My parents wouldn't let me. I realized I had no other way out but to work bloody hard and do reasonably well to get at least first division. When, on the night of the result, my drawing teacher, Uday Singh Ji, Darshan knows him very well, we were in school together, came to my home and told me and my family that I was number 7 in merit list. I could not believe it. And after that got into IIT. Was that a good thing for me? Of course. But there are so many other things which I wanted to do in life, which this career, I joined Schlumberger, and I thought I loved it. It was field work that I would love it, and I did for a year and a half. But one thing I had forgotten, when I was at school, at Sardar Patel Vidyalaya, we used to have self-teaching day. And I taught kids 1 year below me, and I loved it. My grandfathers were teachers, my mother was a teacher. I chucked Schlumberger job and came back into PhD at IIT Delhi. And the professor who was in the interview panel for Schlumberger, who was he? Professor Indra Sen. His words to me were, Nalin, you are a bloody fool. You left Schlumberger job to come and do a PhD. A friend of mine, his uncle said, hey, he's doing a PhD. Didn't he get a job? And I'm the happiest man that I came back to join academics. There is something I love. In my class, I tell my students, I never had drugs. I don't need drugs. I give a lecture, I come out, I'm on a high. However, there are certain, I haven't done school teaching. Few years ago, there are so many stories I have to cut short. Few years ago, I realized there is much more to be done than teaching at university. I don't know how many of you heard of University of Third Age, where seniors teach themselves. I started teaching computers to Italian migrants who have not learned English beyond yes, no in 40 years of staying in Australia. And when one particular lady, she sent her first email and immediately from her niece got a reply back from Italy, she was jumping with joy, 70-year-old, gave me such a great pleasure. Recently, I also realized around the world people are moving away from engineering, we call it these days STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics subjects, because they have been presented as boring subjects over the years. I have taken on and I presented a paper in Germany recently on teaching STEM topics through drama. I have written my first drama to not teach fully but get students interested in logarithms by playing a drama. So these various aspects of learning, which the full topic on lifelong learning is very long, but the last presentation was close to the main thing I am going to talk about. We are all back in IIT lecture theatre. Look around. What do you notice? A wire hanging there, a plug not working properly. It was like that 40 years ago, it is the same today. Not today, few years ago, I have been thinking of starting not institutes but small centers where kids, poor kids from the road, we can teach them how to do this properly so that when they come to homes, they get jobs. We talked about real certification for people. There are ITIs here, but those people, they still go into industry. But to build this country and build it properly, we talked about Australia, those who have been in other parts of the world, not just US, Australia. Even if you go to Malaysia, even I'm sure Mauritius, wiring is done properly. India is the only country where this isn't done properly. Can we make a difference? And I will share with you only 2 months ago, and I had shared with Vera, universities offering retirement packages, should I take it or should I not? A few years ago I used to say I'll work till 70, 75. I asked my daughter, she said, no Dad, what will you do? Don't. But after much thinking, I took the retirement package. The reason is I wanted to be free, to do things which I have not been able to do all these years. And I'm very lucky, I've been mentioning it to Sandeep, because I don't live here and I don't plan to come permanently. Can some people sitting here help me with this? And he pointed out to a new center set up called BAM near Rishikesh by IIT Alumni to help kids, unfortunate kids. They started with kids whose parents died in the floods in the Himachal recently. So I joined them and intend to start that center there, teaching those kids those handyman skills. I very recently attended by the Nobel laureate at Monash University lecture by Muhammad Yunus, microfinance. So he presented, I could tell you what he said. One of the best things he told me is, after starting this project, he went to banks to learn how it is done properly. And one thing he learned and he did was do exactly opposite to what the banks do. And he said, they lend with some security, I lend without security. They lend to men, I lend to women. They lend only in cities, I lend only in villages. So there is a paradigm shift that we need in training our workforce at the ground bottom level. India is doing high tech very well, but low tech, we are the worst in the world, I'm proud to tell you. It's a very, very, very high level of, to be, for a country like India, where high tech is the best in the world, to be worst in the low tech is something we must have strived for to achieve it. And we have strived for. We have neglected it completely. We accept that. I go to my brother's home. And my brother, he waits every time I'm visiting him. He's got lined up things which I have to tighten. He won't tighten. Wire hanging there, things hanging there, totally unsafe. It is accepted by us. I had another thing I wanted to do, clean up India. Thank goodness Modi ji has done that. And thanks to Modi ji, this has become my favorite dress now. What one? So, how much time I have? Another minute? 1 minute है. So friends, Romans gentlemen, whatever. After this opportunity to do for a few more active years that I have left, and I told my daughter, she asked me, Dad, I told you don't retire, you retired. I said, no, I am not retired. It's just a new phase of my life. Doing a new thing that I want to do, doing things which I couldn't do before. So any of you who would like to join such an effort, you are so much more welcome, and luckily the starting point can be that balm. It is already there, and in the next week I'm going to talk to them. I took my daughter there in February to just give, Bollywood actresses, every kid loves. So gave them a signed paper, a diary for the rest of their life, etc. Now this time I want to go and start something real, possibly get money when I go back to Australia and Australian cave system, adapt this to India, etc. There's a lot to be done. Can't do it alone. Come please join me. Thank you very much.
I think you can hear me at the back without my microphone loud enough?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I just wanted to mention that I heard the 3 presentations and they had a common theme, although we may not have realized it. Just the common theme of giving back. I remember at our 50-year thing in the Bay Area, Bill Gates was present. He was the keynote speaker, and Rajat mentioned that when Bill Gates got married, his mother told Melinda Gates that to whom much is given, much is expected of them. As IITians, a lot was given to us. And we could start right with Pandit Nehru's vision that we are where we are today. It came from the sacrifice of our political leaders of those times who had a vision. It came from people, taxpayers who subsidize our learning. And it is a real joy to see people ready and willing and able at during their golden years wanting to give back.